Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our great friends over at Streetside Brewery, which is where I was earlier today watching the Canada-South Africa game with the Post's own Damon Gumbert. Great time, lovely staff, delicious beers. I was trying Friendship Bracelet and Boring Beer, okay? One of them, a collaboration with another brewery, fantastic, complex, interesting. The other one, quite literally, Boring Beer, okay? They got both. They got you covered. They got everything you'd ever want there. And they were nice enough to put the World Cup game on basically every screen as soon as the game came on. And I didn't have to ask for that. So that was great. They're so nice. They're so good. It's a lovely, welcoming environment. There was music playing out on the patio as we were leaving after the game. Live music, by the way, not just music. Live music. Oh, my God. Always stuff going on there. Absolutely love them. Go check them out. Streetside Brewery, east side of Cincinnati. You find them on Columbia Tusculum neighborhood there. Fantastic spot. Cannot speak highly enough about them. So a huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this episode. Thank you, listener, for checking them out. And on today's episode, we got some FC Cincinnati to talk about. I don't know if you know, but there's been some news. Miles Robinson started and played an entire match for the U.S. men's national team. Steven Jimenez, our little baby boy, is all grown up and may be headed to another team. Yerson Mosquera, our favorite player from 2023. He's somebody's favorite, surely. A lot of people's favorite. The way I said that made it sound like he's not a favorite player. He's a lot of people's favorite player, to be clear. But he went back to the Premier League, which is where his contract was, even back in 2023. However, he's back in town. What does it mean? What does it mean? Also, Santiago Arias, former FC Cincinnati player, tearing it up for the Colombia national team. We reminisce about what was and what could have been. And then over in part two, and frankly, the reason why this episode is so long, it's another draft, and we got into one of our favorite subjects, conspiracy theories. We drafted an MLS roster of conspiracy theories. I had fun with this. Hopefully you have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously, okay? It's a good time. It's fun. Put it all together. You got yourselves certainly a Cincy Postcast episode. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, joined by the Chief, joined by Grayson. Grayson, welcome back. Also, I know you don't want to give up too much of your personal life. Glad to see you alive and kicking, buddy.
Yeah, I got to watch some of the World Cup games on Thursday
or Friday.
Thursday,
yeah.
From let's just say like a private room.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a thing that back in the day, Vince McMahon banned the WWF announcers from saying a wrestler had been taken to the hospital after a brutal attack or a chair shot because people were showing up at the hospital. Back when people thought this was a little more real than it was, which is why the term he's been taken to a local medical facility still persists today in wrestling terminology. We're not going to say where Grayson was, but he was taken to a local medical facility or brought himself. So
yeah, it's always helpful. A very expensive private room is where Grayson ended up. That's always good. Looked like a nice television though, so you had that going for you.
Yeah, it was all right. It was a problem when I get in there and it's just like a soap opera where I couldn't tell if just the dialogue didn't sync with the video very well, or if it was like a dubbed over telenovela.
Yeah.
But I was able to locate remote control and watch. I think Germany. They play at 4:00 on Thursday.
That feels right. I think there were only 4:00 games on Thursday. So yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Did you have any thoughts about watching a European team from a better health system while you were experiencing the American healthcare system?
No, I didn't. I gotta say, I ran into a friend there, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to disparage the healthcare system at this exact moment. I will say that, in my opinion, a bunch of people, it seems like in retrospect, got really worked up over nothing. And it just cost me a few hours of my day.
Oh, well, that's good. Chief, any medical concerns I should know about before we progress with this podcast? Is there any sort of warnings we should have on this, or
just don't operate heavy machinery while listening? That's always good.
Okay. Yeah,
good medical advice. I did have to have a medical procedure done, minor thing, about a week ago. And I already had plans for this past weekend, to go see a concert. And so I had to have a really uncomfortable conversation in the initial consultation where it's like, hey man, I swear I'm not an alcoholic, but like, how soon can I get back to drinking after we do this? And he was like, oh no, it's a perfectly normal question. Like you stay off it before anesthesia and, be smart day or two, but you're fine. And I was like, okay, follow-up question. And I realized this is going to make me sound bad as well. Controlled substances. How we looking?
What's our timeline look like?
What's our timeline look like? I finally had to cop it. Like, I'm going to a concert with some friends I haven't seen in a while, and sometimes one thing leads to another. He's like, "You're fine," and I was like, "I swear that's the only questions I have left that I'm not going to ask ChatGPT about instead."
I have 2 questions, Doc. Both of them incriminating.
I don't think this reveals too much because it just reveals what didn't happen. But I found out there's a thing called a stroke bed.
Ooh, okay.
And it's like when you hear that and you're like, oh, that's where I'm going. It's like,
yeah, usually you got to pay extra for that. Usually,
do you have a better? And I also
got Bob Kraft in trouble.
I definitely got more. I got a lot more attention from women than I'm used to.
Okay.
It's like I'm Xerxes.
Right. So
I got one at every limb.
So I have a question now. Did you go to a medical facility or did you go to a spa or a massage treatment?
Yeah, what's the
location?
word spa used?
Yeah.
How does a stroke bed, your word, not mine,
right?
How does a stroke bed compare to the run of the mill bed
you might? The first thing you say is, "I'm willing to pay cash."
A high school boy in your house.
Is it? I'd like to think it's more comfortable, or maybe it's less comfortable. Like, this guy's not going to be here long. It does not need to be nice.
No. You can tell by the looks of him, he's not going to last.
Oh man. Well, you almost got to quit the podcast, Grayson. I'm sorry you're back here with us.
Amp life aid for everybody.
God, you know what's weird about this episode? There's a little bit of FC Cincinnati to talk about. There's just a little bit, just a little morsel of this.
Hit me because I'm missing it, man.
Yeah.
I'm jonesing. I am drowning in content when it comes to soccer in general, but starving for the orange and blue. And I didn't realize I would miss it as much as I'm missing it right now. Like, been fun talking the World Cup, been fun watching all these games, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go back.
Yeah. I'm getting a little FOMO on seeing some other teams, signing some big names, some rumors going around like, oh man, I want my team to be in the news. But there was this was fun. It sort of leaked out slowly but surely at the Served by the Pros event. But Yerson Mosquera, FC Cincinnati legend, back in town, I guess just visiting his brother, or at least that's the cover story. He was back just, I guess, as a civilian. I assume he was not serving during the Served by the
Maybe being
Pros.
served, in fact. Maybe he was enjoying that.
Potentially. And then we got some, I'll say, unconfirmed reports, but I have no reason to doubt them, on the Discord today that he was also at the FC Cincinnati 2 match this evening, where presumably his brother was playing.
His brother was playing in the 11.
Yes.
Is it demeaning to professional servers to call this Served by the Pros? Like, they're not pros at this.
No, you'd almost rather prefer
but
a
if you're
professional server.
But also, like, if you're in a stadium, they would be the pros inside the stadium. So if the event happens at the stadium, they are pros there because, you know, we have servers at the stadium.
Well, then
but
so
most
are
of them are
the,
volunteers.
ushers.
Oh, okay. That's a decent point. Some
Because
of them are going to be volunteers.
Yeah, the people at the concession stand are all like for some local charity, right? So
I
they're
don't
not
know.
pros.
It's sort of
I feel
hit
like
or miss.
I feel like they should be paid.
It's hit or miss depending on like the exact location. But some of them are like, that's their gig. And you'll see them move from like stadium to stadium. So if you go to a Reds game on a busy night, you might see some of your favorite, you know, hot dog vendors or whatever. So
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting.
That does cross the line to being a little too woke for me. So I'm going to tap out there.
Okay, that's a line too far.
That's as far as we're going.
I like the idea of Served by the Pros.
I respect servers, but like, I don't think anyone says I'm going pro in surfing.
At least it's not waited on by the pros, because we don't wait, folks. Like, we keep it moving. All right, we're serving.
We're Americans, damn it. So
but
that's cool.
fun.
Yerson, yeah, Yerson back. I don't know. They got to keep him around long enough to pull the sword at some point, right?
Well, you got to keep him around like 3 more weeks, right?
It's a long time.
That is a long time.
Now,
at some point,
Wolves were relegated, which is who he had a contract with. Has a contract with? Some guys get relegation clauses to let go. Sometimes it's just they have a lower pay for when they go down. I assume he's still under contract.
He's still under contract. Yeah.
Still only 25 years old.
What are the chances, right? Like, he wasn't getting a ton of time with Wolves.
27 appearances.
He started off hot, though. It was an exciting 3 weeks with his
They
finger in places they shouldn't be.
They just need to get him over to like Spain or Italy or Germany, right? It feels like he would settle in nicely.
Yes.
In any of those leagues. Just like the Premier League's tough, especially when you're on a terrible team.
Yeah.
He had that Villarreal, I believe, right? He had like a loan stint there at some point.
That's what it was. Yeah, I was going to say he did well in Spain for a hot second.
Yeah, I think the answer is no, just because we have DP center back at home currently.
Yeah.
But I also had this thought too. Like, Yerson Mosquera's one season was so magical. And so everything I would want a loan of a Premier League talent striker or a center back to be, I don't want that being tarnished. Like, I would rather have the happy memory than get him, you know, after he's matured too much to be sticking fingers and checking people's oil. Like, that's the Yerson Mosquera I want to remember.
Yeah, I think with Yerson, it's tough because he's a center back. Obviously, he'd be very expensive. I unfortunately fall into the camp that no matter who it is, you shouldn't have a designated player center back, and that includes Yerson. So like as a guy like entering, probably a little still before, but entering into his prime years. He needs to be making that money over in Europe. But like, who's to say he doesn't do like a swan song, back here when he's like 33, right? Because then you get the player you get the player cheaper. You get the wily veteran versus somebody who still needs to develop. But I think it's different with defenders versus like attackers. Like Atlanta should not have spent $20 million or whatever to get aging Almiron back.
Yeah.
Like you needed a prime of his career or still like top level MLS talent DP attacker to carry your team.
Yeah.
If you're spending the money, it can't be on somebody who doesn't have it anymore. And also the added thing to what Chief just mentioned is you got to think that like it's made people's memories of like the good days with Almiron a little less sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, circle back on this conversation in 2 to 3 months, or maybe even a month, when we get a little more clarity as to what changes are coming to the MLS salary structure, or even
if any,
because the last I heard, they don't have a CBA worked out and they don't have anything that's in agreement with the MLSPA. And I don't know, it feels really late in the game to still not have the MLSPA signed on to the schedule shift, much less any of the sweeping changes that we've heard a drumbeat of rumors regarding for the better part of 6 months.
Yeah, I've been banging on this one forever. Like, Players Union doesn't seem keen on this. They didn't like come out and like applaud the decision or anything like that. And yeah, they need to work out that agreement. And oh, by the way, like radically expanding the salary pool means a lot of the guys in the union now lose their jobs over the next 2 years. They're probably not super thrilled to go like, yeah, bring in all the foreign talent you can. Bring in all the domestic talent that's been playing in Europe forever. Let's do it. Let's kick Nick Haglund out of the league. Let's kick Matt Miazga out of the league. Let's kick, Christian Fletcher out of the league, and let's go to town with this. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation that hopefully gets solved over the course of this summer. But here's some scare. I will say this though, nice that like he likes us, right? FC Cincinnati enough to come back and do this. That's not to say that
we are employing his brother, which is a solid, helpful. I would say.
Yeah. Right. Helpful. Great use of the 2 team, if that's like literally all his brother's doing. Although I don't think he'd be starting regularly if that was, all he was doing.
Would you approve of the 2 team being nothing but a vehicle to employ the less talented younger siblings of star players just to get them used to the idea of visiting Cincinnati, seeing life around Cincinnati? And then also, I mean, a couple briefcases full of money find their way to the apartment where said player is playing, saying, we really love having you here. We love your family. Treat your entire family to a vacation to the brand new Marriott down by the convention center. Come visit Cincinnati for a week, enjoy some Skyline chili on Fountain Square. And wouldn't it be great if you brought your more famous older brother by the training ground just to see what things were like over here? I think that's a great use of the 2 team. I don't give a shit if the 2 team wins or loses. You can find young talent elsewhere. You can buy another academy team somewhere, but just using it specifically to stock famous, shitty younger siblings on a team somewhere, I think this is Moneyball in this a little bit right here.
There was a rumor that I heard from like Chicago Bulls fans that when LeBron signed with Miami that he would have signed with the Bulls, but he wanted the Bulls to like sign his buddies to NBA D-League contracts, and they just wouldn't do it, you know. And I don't believe it. I think it's cope.
Yeah,
but that shouldn't have been a deal breaker.
Yeah, do that.
Just do it.
Who gives a shit that the Peoria Bulls or the Peoria Cows can't win a game? I don't give a shit.
Right.
It's LeBron's playing for the Bulls. This is awesome.
Like, what's the point of the 2 team? Is to be a vehicle to bring in better talent into
no
the
salary cap.
No salary cap.
No salary cap.
No salary cap.
But like, it's not that much different than using the 2 team to stock the pond, as it were, with talented youngsters that they might hopefully blossom into, you know, valuable professionals at the MLS level. It's the same idea of like, I'm gonna sprinkle in my 2 team with some lottery picks and see if it provides fruit for the first team. And yeah, maybe that's Paul Pogba's untalented older brother who played in Atlanta for a hot second, right? Didn't
Right.
Pogba play in Atlanta?
Yeah,
Something like that.
He played somewhere. Florian Pogba?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, same idea. Do that.
All right, here. I'm just looking at I asked ChatGPT while you were talking. It's an elite use of the internet right here. Older star, younger sibling. Famous footballers that have younger siblings.
Okay.
Job Bellingham, younger brother of Jude Bellingham.
I believe he's pretty good.
Okay.
Sign him up.
Ethan
regardless.
Mbappe.
You can get Ethan.
Yeah, you can definitely get Ethan.
If there's Killian and then Ethan, oh boy, you hate to be Ethan.
Right. Too bad it wasn't about 10 years ago. Eden Hazard has 3 younger brothers who are progressively worse than the previous one.
I was going to say, I remember that. Just
Yeah,
the talent sort of ran out.
Yeah, Throgan Hazard he was all right, but like Killian Hazard, I've never heard of that guy.
It's like the Skarsgards.
Right. So there's a pathway here, I think.
Okay.
João Felix, Hugo Felix, professional midfielder in the was in the Benfica Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could work with this.
Dimitri Payet has younger brothers. Christian Vieri has younger brothers. Massimiliano Vieri.
Wow.
There's yeah. I just think that this is the perfect use of FCC too. It's like, does you feel bad for your younger sibling because at family reunions, mom is always like making a fuss over you, and you can see that he feels bad because he ended up, you know, having a good, successful middle manager career somewhere. This is like basically the Cooper Manning idea. Like,
yes.
Yeah, Cooper Manning successful, but like, if you could have had a chance to have Peyton Manning in his prime, if you just gave Cooper a front office job, everyone would have jumped at that.
The Bengals did have Jesse Palmer on the roster for a minute.
Yeah.
Jordan Palmer.
Jordan. Yeah.
Jesse Palmer was also a guy.
He was the Florida quarterback.
Not related. He was the Bachelor.
That's right.
Right. He played at the University of Florida, I think.
That's the same guy.
Yeah. And he played for the Giants.
Giants,
I believe. Yeah. And he does TV now.
Yeah. He occasionally was hosting a ESPN college show for a while.
Yeah. Jordan Palmer, UTEP, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Ooh, good call. Conference.
Doesn't
USA.
he? He's like the quarterback coach guru now, right?
Yeah, he's the dude you go to after college if you need to like really up your shit before pro day.
Yeah, get your pro style throw motion down.
Right. Jesse Palmer, University of Florida. Jesse Palmer, Canadian. So congratulations to Jesse Palmer's Team Canada on their advance to the round of 16.
Congratulations to him on being Canadian.
Yeah.
Job well done on that.
Who is so Warren Moon is
not Canadian.
Not Canadian. Right. Who's the best? Is he the best Canadian? Who's the best Canadian quarterback? Is it Jesse Palmer?
Because all the quarterbacks in the CFL are all American. You use like your token American spots on that.
Yeah, man, damn, I can't believe I screwed up the Warren Moon thing. As soon as it left my mouth, I was like, that's not right.
No.
Man. Okay.
So we're gonna talk about the real tragedy in the FC Cincinnati community that's befalling us right now, Kevin. The sad news that our young mascot Steven Jimenez may be on the move from FC Cincinnati.
Man, this is tough. Steven Jimenez, perpetually 16 years old in my head. He's always been 16 years old. Even when he was 15 years old, he was 16 years old. And then as he's gotten older, he's still 16 years old. I think he's like 18 or 19 now, folks. Like, he is like a full-fledged man. And
just had a birthday. Just turned 19, June 24th.
Okay,
Happy birthday, Steven.
Happy birthday indeed. Unfortunately for us and for Steven, he's only good for about 90 minutes a season for FC Cincinnati. We don't get to see much of him. Not enough to say goodbye to him at any point along the way here, but has always been hanging around. One of the earlier homegrown signings. There is some solid reporting out there, some rumors, and his own Instagram account that looks like he is off to go on loan to a second division side in Brazil. I don't have any of this information up in front of me. Grayson, I feel like you know this. He is Brazilian? Came from Brazil? What's the Brazilian connection with Jimenez?
He has definitely lived in Brazil. He may be Brazilian Mexican American.
Okay.
Do you know that on the official FC Cincinnati website, it lists his birthplace as unknown USA?
Yeah, he's got
cool.
I don't necessarily want to like invite this, but he's got certainly questions about like exactly what was going on with like his background and like where he was found and like who's like responsible for him.
The term legal guardian is going to come up a lot when you start digging into this.
But his guardian or handler or guy who for some reason owned Lucho Acosta's house on paper is Brazilian American.
Okay.
Yeah. He grew, according to his Wikipedia page that I looked at before we started taping, he grew up in Brazil playing futsal there. It's one of the top lines on his page.
Okay.
So he's been there. He was born to a Mexican father and a Salvadorian mother. So he's got a lot of options for international football in his future if he can grow his game a little bit.
Yeah, I know not to get too much into this, but I know his guardian's son was in the FCC academy for like a second, but also is like as I understand it, like primarily a futsal player and was on a team in in the soccer tournament.
Oh,
that
TST,
was like in TST, like, I don't know, last year before. That was like, it was like, we're all futsal guys. It was like it was their gimmick.
Huh. Fascinating.
If you're Steven, are you excited about getting loaned, or are you like, because I always think that the greatest job in the world would be to be the guy who's the backup that never gets in, and you just keep cashing a check, and you never get enough playing time one way or the other for anyone to know anything about you. But if you're like reliable, you look good in training, you show up on time, yes sir, no sir, you can parlay that into a pretty decent career in just about any sport.
I think at his age, you have to show something.
Yeah.
Like you have to show something that like people see you as a senior level pro player and not a youngster with potentially a future.
Yeah.
So I think for him, going somewhere where he can play, hopefully, again, we don't know anything really about his relationship to Brazil, like how strong it is, where he even like lived in Brazil. But if it's somewhere like, if it's somewhere with like a familiar setting or a comfortable setting, that's all good. But yeah, I mean, at his age, he needs minutes, and he needs to show that he can play as a senior professional player. You know, once he does that and starts getting a couple of contracts, then he can slide into like good locker room guy or whatever and ride out the rest of his career.
Right.
Right.
There's also, Chief, I've had the same thought as you, and it is slowly over time dawned on me that the fact that you and I probably share that opinion is the reason why we are not like top tier professional athletes, because these guys have a drive to prove that they are the best. And
the other thing to think about is that like everybody, even these even like backup locker room guys, you have to be the man at a certain number of levels.
Yeah.
And they put you in the pool of a bunch of guys who also were the man at one level below. And then that all gets sorted out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you have to have that drive to like be the best one before you can go be like the, you know, back up to a guy who's even better, or be like, you know, like, and this works at like, I mean, this is kind of true in other professions as well, where like, you know, like a big company, like all the top executives were folks who were like gunning for CEO jobs, but then they ended up, you know, falling in line, and then it becomes like, you know, you were a hot shot, but now you have to be a team player.
Yeah.
You're not a has-been, Bombay. You're a never was.
That's why that quote cut so deep. It was actually Alexi Lawless who said this at one point or another that I appreciated, and I think there's a bit of wisdom to this, which was I think it was Alexi. He said, "You never want to be the best player on your team. Like if you're the best player on your team, it means you're not striving to the next level." And there's certainly a critique of that somewhere along the line, but basically this idea of like you should always be striving to get higher and higher and higher.
That's also like a LinkedIn success guy thing, where it's like, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room.
Sure, but also I'm thinking like a big criticism of the U.S. men's national team.
If your friends at 25 aren't talking about stocks, investments, workouts, and bettering themselves, find new friends.
Well, just like a big criticism of the U.S. men's national team is like nobody is the guy on their team, and it's like, well, they're all following Alexi's point of trying not to be the best player on their team. But yeah, maybe at some point you do want to be the star player. I get it.
I mean, Christian has gone through moments at Milan where he's been the guy.
Yeah.
And Weston occasionally he's certainly like the guy.
Yeah, there's a point where like the teams are so good and soccer's not really a sport where you could just have one guy. But yeah, Weston's pretty close to that right now.
So I guess big question on Jimenez. Do you believe we will ever see him for FC Cincinnati again? Because this feels like the type of move that you make where you're hoping that he shows out and somebody buys him for the whatever price you're trying to get.
The only thing I would think is Montreal just did a deal that made me think that FC Cincinnati could copy this with Jimenez specifically, which is they let this guy go to a team in Greece for free, but they retained a sell-on percentage. So it was like, hey, you're not getting any minutes here. We don't see it with you right now. We're not going to hold you back. But if you go on to sort of flourish into the player that we thought you could be when we initially brought you in, great. Then they'll kick us a little bit of money on, you know, your eventual transfer, or maybe a next, you know, your next contract. They gotta pay us something. I could see something like that being the case with Jimenez. The fact that it's a loan makes me think that they just genuinely want to see him get minutes and don't want to give up the control. They obviously between, a couple of different administrations and academy chiefs and assistant coaches, somebody sees something in him. Like, there's a reason why he's hanging around. And we know that this has been like a tough team to break into as a youngster, particularly in that attacking midfield role. Like, as much as we've been clamoring for Dado to be there, he's 3 or 4 years ahead of Jimenez and has more professional minutes and all these other things going for him. So I get Jimenez doing this. All of that is to answer your question by saying, Chief, I think this is the end. And this is why you got to be careful hyping young prospects.
So I checked. And the other thing to remember with Steven is we owe DC.
Oh yeah.
We owe DC some money if we sign him to another contract.
Like $500,000 or something, like a crazy amount.
I don't, something like that. I don't remember exactly what, but that number sounds right. So he's out of contract at the end of this year. He's got an option for 2027. So it feels to me like one of two things happens. They let him go free or they sign him to a new deal.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
or they trigger the option and then sell him after they trigger the option.
Yeah. But I would hope that they would only insist on like a nominal fee on a guy that I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it feels like
don't be holding him back. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause he's not a guy that you've relied that much on. He hasn't cost you much over the course of his contract. And, what are you going to do? Like, trigger his option, say like, give us $5 million and then just make him sit around for another year. Right. Like, yeah, I wouldn't begrudge them triggering the option to get something, even if it's just like doing something like Kevin said, like making sure you get a sell on in writing. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like a couple $1,000. Like, until they do away with GAM, I'm always interested in anything, especially since you can do it an unlimited number of times now. Like, I'm always interested in anything that can bring you enough money to buy an international slot. Like, if that's all they get out of Steven Jimenez is an international slot next year, fine. Yeah. Why not?
It's a good point, actually.
So to call back to something we were talking about a moment ago, I did some research. Mark Rypien, the best Canadian quarterback.
Oh,
Mark Rypien, the Washington Redskin.
Yeah,
you mean Mark Rypien?
Mark Rypien. I don't know.
That's fair.
This is before my time.
Nobody's yelled his name on ESPN before.
Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls.
Okay, that's pretty good.
He's from Calgary.
In your research, was there a contentious list, or is it pretty clearly him?
It's pretty clearly him. I mean, there's some other decent players. Nate Burleson, Bronco Nagurski clearly is the best Canadian football player of all time.
Yeah, a quarterback.
Right, not a quarterback. But at quarterback, there's basically no competition. I also learned that Mike Vanderjagt is Canadian.
Oh.
The idiot kicker.
Yeah. Got liquored up and ran his mouth. Classic.
Speaking of getting liquored up and running their mouth. No, that's just the worst transition to whatever else we're going to talk about.
Yeah, you can't do that. Anything else, Kevin? What do we got?
We got 2 other points here. One, let's pivot to World Cup here by talking about Santiago Arias still getting it done for the Colombian national team, 34 years old. Pretty fun on the broadcast against Portugal, at least. I haven't watched all of Colombia's matches, but I was definitely tuning into this one. Rob Stone I think it was Robson. Somebody was throwing out the FC Cincinnati connection to Santi Arias, which is fun. It does make you wonder, though. You still see him out there getting it done. What happened? Why couldn't we bring him back? I hear things that he wanted a big number. I also do have the public accounting on DeAndre Yedlin's number, which was not small. So I don't know how big.
What was the situation? What was the situation with him? Because I remember my recollection, and this can always be flawed. is that we had an option on Santi Arias, and my understanding of MLS options is that if he signed a deal where he wasn't a designated player, I don't think an option can trigger that makes a non-DP a DP, because otherwise we'd have seen the guaranteed comp number. Because isn't like the guaranteed comp number an average of all the options count for that?
I don't think that there's a... Well, so you can trigger an option that makes a non-DP a DP.
Yeah.
Okay. However, the guaranteed comp number should reflect, according to how the Players Association defines it, it should reflect an average of compensation across all years, including option years. So if he was on like a 1 year, one option year deal, which is what it was, right?
Yeah.
It was a 1 year show me with a 1 year option. Yeah.
You should be able to look at the guaranteed comp number and figure out, okay, what's the average?
Right. Divide it by 2.
You multiply it by 2 and subtract his salary from the first year. Right. And that should be pretty close to his, I said multiply it by 2, right?
Yeah, multiply it by 2.
Yeah. So that should be pretty close to what his option year salary was.
And I remember we looked at this, and there was no chance it was even close to making him a DP based on like that. If you do that math, which is probably oversimplifying things a little bit, but if you do that math, he would have come in, I believe, in my recollection, I haven't redone it today, but my recollection is that number comes in at below what DeAndre Yedlin ended up getting paid. Okay. Now there's a couple things that I think you would have to account for. One is, was Arias given some type of expectations of if they brought him back, it would be at a much, much bigger number? Was he simply like agitating for a bigger number and being a problem? The latter doesn't seem to be the case, because we know that they were negotiating with him, right? Like they declined his option and then negotiated with him. And the reason there's two reasons there's only one reason you would do that. And that's to negotiate his salary down. Yeah, if you were trying to negotiate a longer term deal, you would exercise the option, keep him under your control, and then see what you can do on the back end. So presumably they tried really, really hard to, because the reporting at the time was that they were negotiating with him, right? Yeah. It wasn't that they were moving on from him entirely. Right. Is that they were trying to keep him at a number below what his option would be, and they failed at that. And they ended up getting a guy who was, I'm sorry, not as good. Certainly not as good at what you needed from the position.
Yeah.
At a number that is, by all appearances, above what it would have taken to keep Arias on his option, right? Yeah. And if he was being a problem, why would you think you could negotiate him down? Why would you negotiate with him at all?
Also, right? Why would you negotiate stuff that has never ever been reported?
Right, so, and like there's no basis for saying he was a problem. Right, I just want to be clear. Right. This is just kind of trying to, because we have very little transparency on whatever was going on. Right. But the other thing that I guess we can't know is if there were game appearance incentives built in, or like supporter shield winning incentives built in that were not reflected in the guaranteed comp number put out by the union, because that doesn't necessarily include like every bonus that the player might get.
Certainly the hard to reach bonuses.
Yeah. It doesn't, it's ostensibly doesn't include the harder to reach bonuses. So if there was like a supporter shield kind of bonus that moved his option number up significantly, that I would kind of understand.
Yeah.
That like also they signed him to a deal with a ton of prove it incentives that were in there. Like,
and he hits all of them.
You hit this many games played, you win a supporter shield or MLS Cup, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we've escalated this number up to a DP number with all the things.
Or max TAM.
Or once you get to like he's a $1.7 million player, then Yedlin's like half the price. And you go, well,
Well, not
go
that
ahead
too,
and make
because you have
that deal then.
one fewer international spot too for Yedlin as an American.
That's the other thing you got to sort of factor in, a give or take $150,000 fee in there.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know that they were like necessarily hurting for international spots at that time.
I know, but I'm just,
but yeah, I mean, certainly in retrospect, when you look at what the guy did the following year, which he had a nice season in Brazil, right?
Yeah. He played his way. So it's not like he was commanding a massive salary. Like he goes to Spain and starts playing for, I don't know, pick your team in Spain. But yeah.
Yeah. So he goes down there and he plays his way back into the Colombian national team, which is crazy to do at his age, given that he played for them in the 2014 World Cup, the 2018 World Cup. I think he was injured for 22.
Yeah, that's when he broke his leg or whatever. Yeah.
And that would have been close in time to when he basically, missed a whole season at Leverkusen and then was playing for
it's in La Liga, right? I want to say.
Yeah, he was playing for Granada.
Grenada.
Oh.
And so yeah, I mean, I assume he missed 22 because of injury.
Yeah.
Because that is right around when he had his really bad injury. But now here we are in 2026, 12 years after his first World Cup, after he's gone to MLS, looked really good, gone down to Brazil, and continue to be productive down there. And he looks great in the World Cup.
Oh, he's best player one of the best players in the field.
He was dominant, man. Like both offense and defense. Like that's what made it so good. And I do think he is a depth piece on the Colombian team generally, but like the strategy against Portugal was to put out a veteran that's seen it all against the overwhelming attacking force of Portugal to sort of set them straight. And he did it, played to the 0-0 draw, and not from a lack of scoring opportunities for Colombia. I thought they looked like the better team in that one, and they're going to be a dangerous team later in the tournament. But man, it makes you think, what if, what could have been. But
I'd love to, at some point, I would love to, find out for a couple. There's a couple players that fall into this category. Like, why
what
him?
happened? Yeah.
What happened there? Because feels like on the surface, this made a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I do think to open up the discussion that was on Discord, thinking of a player's career in totality that happens to touch FC Cincinnati, and we're talking just players, not coaches or other staff or administrative positions. I do think Arias is probably the best player in its entirety, with their career that has played for FC Cincinnati. There's a good conversation about Justin Hoyt had a solid career in England. There's a couple other guys. Sim de Jong had a very fantastic career in the Netherlands with a couple of stints in England. But
I think you're making like a Mount Rushmore. I think the Mount Rushmore is probably like Santi Arias, Justin Hoyt, DeAndre Yedlin, and Jeff Cameron would be my four, I would think.
I think I think De Jong, frankly, edges both Cameron and Yedlin. Now, De Jong he was a decent transfer to Newcastle, but he never quite got it to work there. It was a lot of that was injuries, but
Cameron was a multi-season starter for Stoke.
Yeah, right. But De Jong was a starter and a key player for Ajax for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was playing in the Champions League like every year. And I think obviously the Premier League is like far above Eredivisie. Playing for Ajax is like real deal.
No, I get it.
Like if you're a starter for Ajax, that's
world class.
That's not necessarily world class, but like that's a very, very, very high level to be playing at. And so I think I would rate that above,
what would
I'd
you
rate that above
say
Stoke.
to a player with 100 appearances at Ajax and 100 apperances for Feyenoord?
Are you saying Kenneth Vermeer?
I sure am.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I specifically was not considering goalkeepers, but I think if you did look at goalkeepers, Teton has a really strong argument.
Teton has one of the greatest individual moments.
You look at where he played, right? He played in La Liga, in the Bundesliga, and for PSV, which is like, hasn't always been up to par with Ajax. But has been better sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And he played in the Euros for Polish national team. And so and also I just can't go with Vermeer.
No.
It's so funny. His reputation in America is so much worse. In the Netherlands, he's still like enjoyed. He's still seen as a good keeper. Well, like after FC Cincinnati, didn't he go back? He went back
to the Eredivisie. Yeah. I think Teton is still playing for Twente.
I think so. Yeah. Kenneth Vermeer, after playing for FC Cincinnati, went back to Pexwool. Wikipedia is telling me made 0 appearances. Yes. But made 0 appearances. And then GVVV, which can only be a club in the Netherlands. So
cool.
Just the weirdest named clubs. Well, that finally takes us to Miles Robinson, FC Cincinnati's own, starting and playing all 90 minutes for the U.S. men's national team. The reviews from the national media were pretty good. It was funny reading Doyle's blurb about him was like great, glowing even, saying I would feel confident if he had to step in to see out a game or something. And then his overall rating for the match, 6.5, which I don't know.
I mean, nobody on the U.S. earned more than like a 7 in that game.
Yeah, but
I find myself
not the face of any failure. Yeah,
no, I find myself like I said it online, like on X, the everything app. It's all happening on X. That like I was happy for Miles. Like this is cool, and I know we're really hard on Miles. We're hard on the contract. To varying degrees, we're hard on him for having a contract we don't like. This feels like the wrong time for Cincinnati to be airing grievances about Miles Robinson. Let's keep those in-house, okay? Like, the world is watching. We don't need to be letting the rest of the world know about our petty internal struggles at roster building. Yes. Those are things we keep in the family. All right. So I don't need to see people commenting on national articles or national mentions about Miles. Like he sucks. He's been bad with the club for the entire. We know that.
Yeah,
we know that. But outwardly, I need us to be a little more Cincinnati where we get defensive of things that are involved with Cincinnati here.
You're allowed.
I feel like that's not crazy as an ask.
No, you're allowed to not say things like. Somebody can say something about Miles Robinson. You're allowed to just let it go past you.
So, and also I don't understand the impulse to trash him after this performance.
Yeah, he was fine.
The stuff that he does well was on showcase.
Yeah.
In that game, right? None of the attackers in balls over the top or whatever, they were not outrunning him. No. He was shielding guys off. He was winning headers in the box. He was defending in the box. He was, he had he was holding off an $80 million attacker at various points in time. He wasn't really getting beat in one-on-one situations. I mean, to my eye, it looked like Turkey felt more comfortable attacking down Trusty's side and targeting that side of the field than targeting Miles' side of the field. And I've seen a lot of people come out and talk about, Trusty having a very good game. And take the goal away, right?
Scored a goal,
right?
Yeah.
Scored a goal, and you absolutely, it was well taken. But as defending, like I think probably everybody would agree that McKenzie was the worst of the three.
Yeah.
And
far and away.
I thought Miles was a bit more. Thought Miles was a bit more reliable defending against the ball than Trusty was, and frankly, the stuff that I didn't think that McKenzie or Trusty were that much better with the ball, if at all, which is often like, Miles had a really bad moment early in the game where he almost lost the ball when he was like kind of alone in front of the goalkeeper, but he got it back.
Yeah.
And nothing came of it. And, that was, that was kind of a Miles moment, but I think there was a lot of online hate against Miles after that game, and completely unwarranted. Yeah. You cannot, like, based on the performances in the game, there was no reason for anybody to like single out Miles and say, oh, he should never appear for the team again. Yeah, or anything like that. Especially, and it was I was disappointed. Obviously there's like the usual suspects from like various corners that they're like, oh, that's the MLS guy. That's the MLS guy we hate. We're going to go after him. But I was disappointed with folks from Cincinnati piling on too, because like he's not a DP in this tournament. Right? There's no reason like when he's with the national team in the World Cup, when MLS is on break, he doesn't have a contract to be mad at.
Right.
Yeah.
So all he did in that game was play pretty well.
Yeah. Also, granted, he, I don't think his performances to start the season have not been great for FC Cincinnati. Fair enough. Why would you be like piling on and rooting for his downfall? If nothing else, just purely utilitarian, you hate the U.S. men's national team, you only root for the FC, fine. You want him to figure his shit out with the national team so he can come back into the team in form. Why would you be cheering against him? Look, if FC Cincinnati is going to go on and win silverware, you're gonna need a solid informed Miles Robinson who wipes out the best attacker from the other team off the board. They're a non-factor, and he offers a little bit going forward on set pieces. That's the idea. That's the dream. That's what you want. You got to be rooting for that. Like, he's on the team now. The time to argue against him being a DP, you missed it by about 12 months. He's here now. We gotta hope that he's doing a good job.
The other thing with Miles in this game is, if you look at Matt Doyle's analysis, I thought one of his observations was very interesting. Obviously there's no Tyler Adams in this game, and they don't have a replacement for Tyler Adams on the roster.
And Roldan's hurt,
Roldan's hurt, but they don't have a replacement for Tyler Adams on the roster.
Correct.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And so there's no midfield ball winner. There's no midfield protection for the center backs in this game. And, Doyle kind of pins the goals mostly on that fact.
And some adventurous goalkeeping by Matt Turner that your mileage may vary.
And it made me think about the FC this season. Like, would you say that we've had consistently a strong defensive midfielder, a strong ball winner in the midfielder? I mean, has it one of our complaints that our midfield has been way too easy for teams to play through, that basically there's no resistance, going down the field, and it puts a lot of pressure on the center backs?
You'd be forgiven for saying what midfield?
Yeah. So I think that observation, and it's no coincidence that Miles looked pretty good on the right of a three center back system, which is another kind of observation that we've come to have with FC Cincinnati. like if Obi were to like come back and be healthy, that also changes how you feel about the center backs on the team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it changes everything about how you feel about the defensive deployment of the team. It changes how you feel about the ability of the team to remake certain aspects with the way the wingbacks are deployed as well. Yeah, like the whole thing we were talking about when the team was around was that, boy, wouldn't it be nice to get Obi from 3 years ago on this team so that you can see exactly where the problem lies, if it's the center backs or it's the fact there's no cover for the center backs on this team. I think that if you're an FC Cincinnati fan with Miles Robinson in the World Cup, number one, he is probably done playing minutes at this point. So if it really bothered you that much, congratulations, your tormentor will no longer be there. But
now Trusty's hurt.
Right.
So we don't know what Trusty's availability. So if they do make a center back sub, Miles is a decent. He may have moved a little bit up the depth chart on that, but
I feel like it would be impossible to watch that game and not think that like Miles was the better option than McKenzie. Plus, if you're defending a game, you're going to want the ability that Miles has, where he's aerially dominant in defending, especially against set pieces and late game pushes. But if you're an FC Cincinnati fan, the only thing that you need to be feeling right now is you need to be feeling a little pride that there was somebody that was on the field that, you know, wears your team's colors, that got minutes at the World Cup, started a World Cup game. There were 3 MLS players in that starting lineup. That was Seb Berhalter, Matt Turner, and Miles Robinson. One of the 3 MLS guys that made the roster or the starting lineup was one of your guys. Number 2, this meant a shitload to Miles. Like, he made no secret about that. He's made no secret that it was his goal to get back to the World Cup. And I have speculated, and I think that it's just human nature, that one eye has been on the World Cup since January. And one eye has been on doing what the coaching staff wants to stay in the picture, making the roster, staying healthy, and that everything happening at FC Cincinnati, yes, very important. I would never admit in a second to taking my mind off our goals as a club. People don't behave that. People don't work that way. And so your hope is that getting through this, whatever percentage of his brain space was focused on World Cup or thinking about World Cup, that can now go directly to what the team's goals are, that he's gotten this major life milestone behind him successfully.
Albright pretty much admitted to Laurel that everything around Miles, every decision made relating to Miles through the season to now, has been keeping him healthy and available for the World Cup in mind.
Yeah.
It was catastrophic the way he missed it in 22. He was in line probably to start for that team in the first choice lineup.
And who knows where his career goes, you know, if that happens.
And we're not, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I like that because I have a different perspective, right? I'm not in Miles' position. I'm in my position as a fan of FC Cincinnati. So I have a different.
You're not in Albright's position either. Having to worry about recruiting the next guy that they want to know that they'll take care of.
Yeah. So like, I don't love knowing that, or I don't love that answer, but regardless of how you feel about it, that part of the season's over. The World Cup will be over, you know, at some point. You know, even if they win, it'll be over. It'll be over at some point. And then there will be another rest of the season that doesn't have the World Cup hanging over it. And you would hope that can only be a good thing for how Miles plays the rest of the year. And I think we can be, you know, we can be hard on the team and Miles the rest of the year if performances and availability are not up to expectations.
Right. Yeah. But in this moment right here, I think that the proper response is to be happy that Miles had this opportunity, that it came in a match that like the circumstances that had to arise for this to happen for Miles had to include qualifying in the first two matches, locking up first place in the group, and then also having players ahead of him with card considerations that made it such that like rotation happened in this. And, you know, he drew an inside straight to get this opportunity to play a full 90 minutes of the World Cup on his home soil for his home team. And that's cool. And if you want to, you know, if you want to tear that down and be mad at Miles for past grievances, go on, I guess. But I feel like that's a pretty shitty way to enjoy the World Cup and enjoy one of the players that you claim to root for when you show up at TQL Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to like save your energy. You know, it's like there are like the fact that Miles is on a contract that none of us like has been true all season.
Will be true
is true right now. Will be true the rest of the year. Right. But there's not like a decision point on it anytime soon. And there's no like specific reason to like be mad about it at this moment or at any particular moment, right? You can't just be mad about everything you don't like all the time, every second, right? Yeah. Pick your spots, right? There will be a time when you get to tweet again or like yell again about, you know, Miles losing a ball to an attacker and or whatever, it being a DP or like not being able to add a guy in the window, or we'll get to the end of the window and you won't be happy about what they did. And you'll be like, well, it's because we got all these guys on bad contracts or whatever. Like there'll be points in time to be specifically unhappy about these things. You'll get to bring it up and make yourself feel good and be the smartest boy in the world. But now like, if you're just mad about everything all the time and you just constantly bring up the same thing over and over again, it's just noise.
Yeah. You're missing a cool moment of having a player represent your club at the World Cup. It doesn't always happen. There's been clubs that have been around for 120 years that don't necessarily have that on their record. It's pretty cool. Not every MLS team has a player at the World Cup. Not every MLS team has a player on the US team at the World Cup. It's pretty cool, pretty rarefied air. Don't let this cool moment, you know, go past you without being able to enjoy it just because you don't like the minutia of a roster build.
And if you really want to talk about Miles appearing in the World Cup, the right way to talk about it is he started and Max Arfsten didn't.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
When nothing was on the line, they still couldn't bring themselves to put a crew player in the field. Well,
you have to go watch a Cabo Verde game to see a crew player.
Is it Cabo Verde or Cape Verde? We were calling it Cape Verde every second before the tournament.
I think it's Cape Verde. Okay. We're gonna go American names for stuff.
Thank you. Good. It's not Deutschland, okay? It's Germany, and it's Cape Verde. I don't speak that language. Okay. Speaking of conspiracy theories, let's head on over to part 2. We've got a draft for the ages that, let me tell you, if something goes wrong with the recording, I'm immediately putting it into my team. We'll see you in part 2.
Today's episode of the Cincy Postcast is also brought to you by E&L Roofing. Look, I get it. Hearing the words new roof can cause your stress levels to elevate. But when you need a new roof, the folks at E&L Roofing can help make that process easier. Since 2009, they've been serving the greater Cincinnati area and helping to keep everyone safe, dry, and covered, no matter what life brings you. It's springtime storm season, and it's a great time to get your roof checked out. Me, I had the folks from E&L out at my place recently for some work. Honestly, could not have been happier with the result. Even caused my mother-in-law to say, picked out a nice color on that. You know what? It's a win in my book. Plus, if you need siding and gutter work done, they've got you covered there too. And as a special value for our listeners, mention the Cincy Postcast when scheduling your inspection for up to 20% off a replacement roof, replacement siding, or replacement gutters. You can find them on the web and schedule your free inspection at elroofing.com, or L Roofing if you're listening to this on Cinco de Mayo. elroofing.com. E&L Roofing, keeping you covered, even if the back three for FC Cincinnati doesn't always.
All right, we are back, and we're bringing it back. We had such great reactions to the restaurant draft, which I gotta say, I went to oh my god, I can't. What's the Sedova. I went to Sedova, guys. It's delicious. I had a great time. It was lovely, and I was mad the whole time. I didn't draft them. They sat there for 3 or 4 rounds.
Tough scenes, right there with you.
We're back to drafting. Chief, would you mind refreshing the people's memories as to the format of how we draft these? We're not drafting at 11, are we?
No, we're not. We are drafting an MLS-style roster that is 3 DPs, 4 U22s, or sorry, 3 DPs, 3 U22s, and a max TAM player.
Yes.
The DP is your heavy hitter. Your U22 is, you know, maybe something more up and coming, something that you're hoping to sell at a higher value at a later date, or maybe someone where it's like, you know, we think this is the hot young star right now that we're getting at an early age. Your max TAM is going to be your reliable performer, someone where it's not quite DP level, but you're still counting on them to do good things for your lineup. And it's easier than building an 11, or it's shorter than building an 11.
It's certainly shorter.
So why don't we do the order the last time? What did we have? I think, Kevin, you led off, and then Grayson, then me. Was that what we did?
Yes. So should we rotate one and let
let's
Grayson
go
have the first
Grayson
pick?
1. I'll go 2. You go 3 then at that point.
Perfect.
Snake draft format as always.
And our drafts will now be snake drafted based on how we're doing this. This is great.
Yeah.
So that does give in our conspiracy. So I guess we should preface this. I am not going to say any conspiracy theories that we draft are necessarily theories that we believe in, or even if we do believe in some aspect of them, we are not subscribing to the entirety of what a conspiracy theory entails. So I have one on my list I genuinely do believe, and maybe that'll be a fun little teaser. Let people try to figure this out. However, some people have taken this theory and continued to stretch it to places, of course, anti-Semitic and whatever else. I don't have to subscribe to the entire thing, okay? So
Grayson's not giving that sort of a caveat to any of his picks, so I'm just going to assume that he believes every one of these truthfully.
Yes.
Sorry, I got a work email.
No, it's good. While you were away, you have the first pick, and we were giving a disclaimer. Just because we have drafted them does not necessarily mean we believe in them, or that we believe in them full and 100% wholeheartedly with all of the various elements that come with it. So and with that, Grayson, the floor is yours. Who is going, or what is going first overall in your conspiracy theory draft?
I mean, I think there's only one first overall choice. It's a designated player. Absolutely. Do everything designated player, right?
Okay.
Attack, defend, goes all over the field. One of the most probably sprawling, versatile conspiracy theories that you'll ever come across. And that is the JFK assassination.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. It's good, but it's also limited in scope to just this hemisphere. And I understand global superpower. Like,
I mean, it's not because Oswald was over in the Soviet Union.
Yeah, see, if you bring in the Soviet connections, it gets a little wonky.
But it's mostly tied to Cubans, maybe the mafia here in North of La Cosa Nostra. So I don't know. Like, it feels like
first of all, the CIA.
Well, the CIA was definitely
the CIA.
The CIA is going to be involved in most of these here.
But you go, like, you look at something like the Devil's chessboard, and you look at how like all the stuff that like Alan Dulles was doing, like the like kind of Nazi friendly banking stuff, and some of their like financial industry connections and and how it's kind of like, at least in some formulations, right? This is like Alan Dulles like reasserting himself as like the key figure of like mid 20th century America, where he had been like sidelined, and the whole Bay of Pigs thing had been had not gone well, and he blamed Kennedy for that, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets kind of shoved aside, and then he's like, no, I have all my friends, and then he ends up back on the committee that was investigating the assassination or something.
Best place to be.
Or something.
Who would know better?
Those lines. Right. They're like, who's the most knowledgeable person about this?
Who would the best at assassinating a president?
I do respect a little bit with this. I do respect a little bit about this conspiracy theory in this regard, and that's that there was a TV show spinoff of the X-Files called The Lone Gunman that was just about investigating conspiracy theories. And they point to the Kennedy assassination as the moment when Americans lost faith in government, and it irreparably broke American society as a result for all these reasons.
I mean,
this hard to get bigger than that.
1-2 punch
like any possible threat they were snuffing out, right? Because you got to think like absolutely like great shooter, great attacker, but all the bodies that were dropping of who like might know like anything about it, they snuffing out every threat immediately along the way. Goalkeepers not bothered one bit.
A solid first pick, certainly one of them that comes to mind when the topic comes up. Chief, where do you go from here?
All right, so I'm going to pick a U-22 conspiracy theory to start. Newer conspiracy theory, younger conspiracy theory, but one that I think has true world-reaching implications given the state of current geopolitics and what's going on. I'm going with QAnon.
Yeah.
Incredible. It tertiarily involves everything, including Pizzagate. Someone, an insider inside the White House, that is fighting back against the globalists, that is fighting against the cartel. This conspiracy theory indirectly took down Alex Jones a little bit. There's aspects of that. It's the reason, not in small part, for the way that the current political landscape in the United States is currently structured. The current rise of, we'll say, alternative political parties in Europe, also fueled partly by the QAnon. It got regular people talking about 4chan, which is hilarious.
Yeah, your uncle figured out how to make a 8chan account because of this. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it is the perfect encapsulation of a modern conspiracy theory, where it is internet driven, but it somehow ensnares regular people who claim that they would never be bamboozled by something like this. And then you have people going to a pizzeria looking for the basement in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. It's a good one. It goes a long way to explaining politics. Say,
Grayson, you're a former Q guy. Tell the people how you got involved originally with that.
It was so. I'll tell you, like, I kind of. I was already involved a little bit in like an adjacent thing where I was one of the first people to notice that Avril Lavigne had been replaced by a clone.
Yeah. Yep.
And then
that's on my list too.
and then the Q folks kind of opened my eyes to show me that like Avril's not the only person that this has happened to. And so that's really my angle on it, is just keeping a list of who's been replaced by either like a double or clone at this point in time.
Yeah.
And it's not always who you think.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It did make me at one point suggest as a motto for the FC Cincinnati supporters groups, where we go one, we go all.
The storm is coming.
They didn't love that on the They didn't love that on the March banner.
Make a killer tifo.
Yeah.
But genuinely, it goes a long way to explaining politics, say, post 2016. So it's something to be said there.
Kevin, what do you got?
The back half of the draft. I mean, why would I not take two of the big heavy hitters here? I'm going modern and I'm going ancient. I'm going 9/11 was an inside job. In addition to, as we snake back around, I don't know exactly how you guys want me to frame this. I wrote down Knights Templar / Freemasons. I'm happy to whittle this down more, but some sort of overarching New World Order from the beginning conspiracy. But and it is so large. I will say Knights Templar because they're usually the source of a lot of this, and whether or not they are a part of the same conspiracy as the Freemasons, I'll let you figure that one out. But I mean, 9/11's a great one. 9/11's a good one because there's layers to it, right? Like you can jump all the way down to like they were missiles and it was all fake, all the way up to like the US kind of knew something was going on and didn't work that hard to stop it, to the bombs in Building 7, to we were funding the Middle East radicals, if not explaining how they might best do the job. It's far reaching. There's just enough crumbs of truth everywhere you look that it gets you eating a little bit more. And then, the Knights Templar, we're going old school sacking of Jerusalem. Like, look, this is the mother of all conspiracy theories, literally and figuratively. So those are my two picks.
9/11 being an inside job, there's no doubt that if AI existed back then, nobody would believe that actually happened, right? That like all the videos would have been claimed to be fake. That like
we're already there with the videos, but yes.
I don't know. The Knights Templar thing, that's like I should know more about that, but I only watched the movie The Da Vinci Code. I didn't actually read the book The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. Long story short, there's these guys that discover untold wealth in the Crusades in Jerusalem. They use that.
No, this
wealth.
Is national treasure now.
Yeah. It's all the same song, baby. It all rhymes. They use that wealth to then influence the world as they see fit. A little Count of Monte Cristo on a global millennia scale. That takes you back to Chief. Chief, where are we off to next with you?
I'm gonna go with a classic DP of conspiracy theories. The moon landing was faked.
The moon landing.
You can't make it through the ether. The Van Allen belt would have killed any astronaut that went any further than the immediate area around Earth. Why haven't we been back the entire time? Adjacent to this is also we were warned by aliens to not go to the moon, which I like, or that there was in fact a secret moon base on the dark side of the moon. World universe reaching implications, or at least solar system reaching implications on this one.
I like it.
On the moon landing thing, I do want to point out something that I can't remember exactly what it is. I can't remember exactly what the employees are, but there's like a unit of bargaining unit employees at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base that are represented by IATSE, which is the like theatrical and set operating like a union, like that's the ones that, like the union that represents like crew members on film sets.
Yeah.
And the official line on it is that they had to hire these employees to like figure out how best to
rig the cameras, right?
Like actual like film the real moon landing.
Yeah.
Right. And that they had consulted with, and I think this is true. I think this is confirmed true, To be clear, in real life, I am not they faked the moon landing guy. Okay. But I think this is true. Yeah. But I think this is true that they did consult with Stanley Kubrick on how to how to frame and film shots and for space.
Yeah, and the reason why they did that was because Kubrick was such a method director that he actually insisted on filming those scenes in 2001 on the moon. Yeah, so the moon landing was faked, but Stanley Kubrick's set for 2001 was real. So they needed some tips on how to fake the moon landing because he'd actually been there.
Yeah.
I've always thought that if I was gonna be like a moon landing was faked guy, my angle on it would be Apollo 11 was faked to discourage the Soviets, but the rest of them were real.
See,
that they needed more time, but they wanted to make sure they were quote unquote first. That's I think a fun little angle that you could throw at people.
Because you hit on the two things that ultimately, if you got anybody in your life who is genuinely a moon landing is fake, there's two big hurdles you got to clear. One, the Soviets confirmed it happened when they had every reason to be the ones to say it was fake. And two, we went multiple times. I do worry that in 2026, people don't realize we didn't just go up there once. There were 7 manned missions to the moon. So fake 1, sure. Fake 7? It's a lot of work for not a lot of profit.
Well, so you build the soundstage. You'd be silly just to use it once.
But what are you faking the 7th one for? You've already proved your point through the first 6.
There's a not, I won't say it's a great movie, but it's a watchable movie where the plot is that NASA has to fake a landing on Mars, and they build a soundstage. They hire actors, and then the actors find out that after they film it, they're going to be killed because they can't let the secret get out. So they escape, and it turns into a chase movie. It would otherwise be remembered as a fun little romp in the 70s, but for the fact that an actor by the name of O.J. Simpson was one of the leads.
Ah, yeah.
So
heard of him. Yeah,
that one doesn't get shown as often anymore.
There's a half decent movie on Apple. I'm assuming most people are subscribed because you're watching MLS. The premise is similar. It's that they're doing the moon landing, but they want the film version as a backup plan. So the space program is real, but they've got the soundstage thing as a backup plan, and it's fine. It's not a great movie, but it's fine. I like the concept. It's fun.
Grayson, you're up.
Grayson.
2 picks.
So we're doing 3DPs,
3 U22s, and a TAM player.
3 U22s and a TAM. Okay. I'm gonna take a DP. I'm gonna take the FBI killed MLK.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
I think it's almost a conspiracy theory that they didn't.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I have one on here that is confirmed, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just James Earl Ray was he had escaped from prison and he was on the run, and he just decides while he's on the run to do this, and then the next day or whatever they pick him up in London.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't think that if you've successfully managed to escape from prison, the first thing you're going to do is kill one of those high profile targets in the United States? That'll surely be something you'll get away.
And I mean, there's more to it, but yeah. I mean, we know generally what the FBI was up to at this point in history. We know they were calling him all the time and threatening him and whatever. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
It's another one of those where there's layers, right? The surface level is the FBI laid the groundwork and we're essentially begging the public to kill MLK. And then there's the second layer of they found the guy and gave him a nice push.
Yeah. They killed Fred Hampton. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take a U22. And the U22 is timely. And what I love about it is that it's probably the hardest to believe conspiracy theory that we're going to talk about over the course of this evening, and that is Gaylor.
Oh, is this Taylor Swift is actually
Taylor Swift is actually gay? Taylor Swift is the most kind of like basically heterosexual person you could imagine, right? like the absolute most like anodyne heterosexuality you could possibly imagine, and yet there's a whole host of online, I assume, young girls who convince themselves over periods of time that no, actually she's like secretly gay, and if you listen to her lyrics, you'll know. And I'm glad that people are finding meaning that they relate to in art.
Yes, okay. That's helpful.
But this is one that I just find so amusing. And it does feel right in a U22 spot.
Yeah. The posts that like made it to the timeline when she got engaged to Travis Kelce, because it broke contain in that moment with people just losing their minds. You know what? Whatever it is that gets you through the day, and if you got a yap on Reddit about something, sure, but the lyrical interpretation would have given a sophist pause.
It's next level. Like, it's one of the most mind-blowing concepts that somebody would even come up with, to the point where you're like, damn, like maybe they're onto something. This is so against everything that is true in our world and we can see plainly with our eyes. Oh man, I've had some fun reading some stuff there.
Grayson, you have a second pick too.
No, I did. I got MLK.
Oh, MLK. Okay. Yeah. That's a solid one too. Okay, I'm going to take another designated player.
Ooh.
This one, I think, it stretches to antiquity, and I think when I was researching this, I didn't realize how much of a modern impact this conspiracy theory has. And that is, are you familiar with the conspiracy of Hyperborea?
Hyperborea? No,
so, I don't think so.
Hyperborea was a ancient mythical land from the ancient Greeks that was supposed to originate in the far north of the world, like a snow-covered, ice-covered paradise type thing. And it's been modified over the years that the conspiracy is that there is an ancient and advanced civilization that actually exists in the area the Greeks described as Hyperborea. Now, you might ask yourself, who has gone looking for Hyperborea and why haven't they found it? Well, the number one group of people that was very interested in Hyperborea were, say it with me, the Third
Nazis.
Reich.
Yes.
So the Nazis went looking for Hyperborea because they thought it was they were all obsessed with the occult. That's like one of the weirder things that Indiana Jones gets right. Like of all is that they were very into some weird shit.
Yeah, looking for the Lost Ark was not outside of the realm of possibilities here.
So they were looking for Hyperborea as this ancient seat of divine and mythical power with an advanced civilization. And one of the locations that they had decided where Hyperborea may rest underneath the earth, Greenland.
Chief, is that why we're trying to buy Greenland?
I'm just connecting some dots here, man. And for my money,
I will say a lot of the people pushing the purchase of Greenland are probably very well schooled in the interests of the Nazis.
And for that reason, I believe that pushes this to a true DP conspiracy theory and out of the realm of, your basic max TAM. I think that it's punching well above its weight and giving a lot of excess value right now in the year of our Lord 2026.
Nice. Solid pick. I like it. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. And I got to learn something, so that's fun. For my pick, I'm going 2 U22s on the turn. One, I absolutely love, and I'll tip the hand here, and one I am a firm subscriber of. Dead internet theory, baby. Let's go as a U22. The idea that an overwhelming majority of comments, communication, messages that are available to be seen on public are written by bots. This is all fake. You see those posts on Twitter, the posts on Reddit, that doesn't make sense. They're all bots. Okay, these AI models, they come out in 2023. They're okay, right? They had to be testing them. They had to be working on them, and we know that they were using Reddit forums to train them, and were deploying them without anybody knowing in advice forums and things like that. Not great. And just think, if this is what they're showing us publicly now, where are they going to be in 3 years from now? Where are those models? They're right in the Twitter comments. They're right in YouTube comments. Okay. Dead internet theory. Don't buy the hype. Another one I'm going for, U22. Now, granted, this is old, but I think it's one that's got some legs. I think it's one that at some point in the future, I think I'm hot on the tails of January 6th, might have some growing room. I'm going The Business Plot, otherwise known as the Wall Street Putsch. This was in 1933. The business community in the United States were not happy with FDR, recruited a well-liked Marine general, Smedley Butler, and were putting together the pieces to overthrow the government of the United States. At initial reporting, most of the contemporary reports dismissed it. After the committee released its report, they all changed their tunes and thought it was horrifying. I do like this note. You get a sort of modern interpretation of this. Prescott Bush, the patriarch of the Bush family, was allegedly a liaison or a key player in this. This has been sort of revised after the fact by a historian sort of looking at it, who said, I don't have the quote in front of me, but said more along the lines, it's unlikely Prescott would have been involved. He was much more involved and interested in what the actual Nazis were doing than to be working with a homegrown group. So there you go.
That's a tough way to get exonerated on something right there.
There's George Bush Sr. or George H.W. Bush, Prescott's son, and George W. Bush's father, was in Dallas the day of the Kennedy assassination.
Oh. Is he a member of the Knights Templar by chance?
Are they not Masons? They're definitely Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I was going to say Skull and Bones is usually the one that comes up with the Bushes. I don't know what their Mason status is. That takes you back over to Chief. Chief, where are we going next? You got one DP spot left, 2 U22s and a TAM.
Okay, I'm going to do another U22. It's globally related to CERN, but the fact that CERN opened a parallel universe with the super collider over in Europe, and we are all living in a parallel second universe as a result of the physics experiments going on there. There's also a whole batch of conspiracy theories around CERN that they're opening portals to try and summon demons. But my favorite version of this is that when CERN turned on the Large Hadron Collider, it resulted in merging and a fracturing of several parallel universes, and that this is the explanation for the Mandela effect, where certain people remember things that don't exist. Key ones on that are the spelling of the Berenstain Bears, whether or not you remember the Fruit of the Loom logo having a cornucopia in it or not.
Well, of course, was Nelson Mandela freed from prison, or did he die in prison, which is where the name came from?
Right. So that if you have ever had that moment where like you truly remember, Shaq playing a rapping genie that emerged out of a boombox, or was that Sinbad that played a rapping genie that emerged out of a boombox? Any one of those can be blamed on the fact that a bunch of physicists over at CERN over in Europe broke the universe. So,
what year did the Large Hadron Collider go online?
I want to say it was like mid 2000s, like 2008, 2009. I want to say.
Okay.
Which would,
So things start to turn a little off kilter. Now, if you told me 2016, I would wholeheartedly believe
you. Yeah. So yeah, we are. If you have experienced that feeling, then you can blame. I think it's in Switzerland, so blame the Swiss.
Yeah, it's huge. By the way, it's a massive tunnel. Grayson, you also have a DP spot open, 2 U22s and a TAM player.
Oh dang. So I'll take a. So I'll take a U22 off the board. I think this qualifies for U22 because my understanding, I have some personal history with this one, but my understanding is that it has become in the last couple of years pretty popular on TikTok.
Ooh.
But when I was,
I enjoyed that pronunciation.
Yeah. When I was in college, I dated this girl who, like, one of the first things she ever told me was that she didn't think Helen Keller was real.
Oh yeah.
That she thought it was like a scam by the teacher, and like all the quotes were just made up. So like where Helen Keller is like, every time like a door closes, a window opens. She's like, she doesn't know the difference between a door and a window.
Damn.
And I do understand that this has become that this, at least in the last couple of years, at some point got some life online. So I think it fits firmly into a U22 slot for me, and it's one that I find amusing. No stakes, really.
Yeah, mostly harmless.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
There's no stakes to it. Let the kids have fun.
To this episode.
This is Ender Echenike just like sprinting down the sidelines. Like, let him enjoy himself.
He's having fun out there.
If that is a fake story, though, like, you did overcook the plot a little bit.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Like, 2 of those crippling disabilities, the story's still inspirational. You didn't need the 3rd one, I don't think.
You want to know what's crazy? Counter to the conspiracy theory, I guess, we have samples of her handwriting. Like, she wrote letters to people. She was pen pals with folks.
Did you watch her write the letters?
I mean, that's the thing, right? But if you ever look up her handwriting, it's insane. It is a wild sort of hand style.
All I'm going to say is in this conspiracy theories, like, to give it its due, there are 2 examples of famous people in history that are blind, deaf, and dumb. One of them's fake.
Tommy.
That's the Who's Tommy. And you're expecting me to believe the other one's real? I never saw her play pinball either.
He's not fake. He's fictional. I do think there's a slight difference.
Fair enough.
That's a good point.
Okay, so that's a U22 off the board. You got a DP. You got one of each to pick from. In fact, that's where all of our rosters stand.
I also have a
right
TAM,
now.
Right?
Yeah, DP,
so you have a
U22,
DP, a U22, and a TAM.
And a TAM. So this is one that I want. I think it's TAM because I think it's a little bit of like a limited luxury player. Doesn't bring a lot to the table, but still is like pretty good bang for your buck.
Okay.
And that's the question of Shakespeare's authorship.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm into this.
So it's the reason I refer to it as a luxury player is it really is just kind of manufactured, as far as I can tell, by insecure, downwardly mobile elites who want to feel like they're not inadequate, that like obviously one of them is responsible for this stuff. And I'm not I'm not like I'm not super conversant in this. I did read a book called Will in the World a couple of years ago. It's like kind of a Shakespeare biography where this guy tries to piece together as best he can like what Shakespeare's life would have been like. And a lot of the stuff people say about conspiracy theory, about this conspiracy theory, is like, oh, he had no formal education and he was like a commoner, right? He wasn't like a commoner. He did live kind of in the hinterlands, but it's like saying like somebody who like he had like a private like Catholic tutor. So it'd be like somebody from New York saying somebody who like went to like St. X didn't have any formal education.
Right. A professor at University of Wyoming would not be capable of this work.
Right. It's like he has a doctorate, but it's from a university in Mexico. It's like he's still a fucking doctor.
Those
like he came from like a relatively well-heeled family for his area.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of I don't know, but the thing with like conspiracy theories is like you can't really talk to somebody who's like into it.
Yeah.
Because they have like 1,000 facts that you don't. Right.
They're too into the subject.
Or just like
they're asking a lot of questions you don't have an answer to.
They've either like facts or like understandings that you don't like, that you're not well versed in and you don't have like a frame of reference in. So you don't have like the rebuttals like at your fingertips. I mean, this is something you run into with like moon landing stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But this is another one that I don't personally buy into, but it does have some fairly big name adherents. And
I remember reading about I got down into a rabbit hole on this. Don't they like do some like textual analysis that like the word usage changes over various stuff that was written?
There are some plays that it's well believed, even by people who don't doubt Shakespeare's authorship, that like Shakespeare had like collaborators on, like
Tom Clancy,
yes, that's a really good example. Is like Pericles was I think written by like somebody who like Shakespeare like gave an outline to or like a rough draft to or something, and
it's like a new play by Shakespeare. And then underneath it in very small letters by Tom Peterson or
as told to Tom Peterson. like James Patterson does this stuff.
Clive Cussler was a big one in the space. Like all these retail novel guys that you buy in an airport where they've written 1 billion books.
R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
I think
R.L. Stein was accused of using grad students to write his books. He always denied it though.
So yeah, but that's pretty common. And so my understanding though is that like the textual analysis of like I think one of the big ones is like Edward de Vere is people generally don't view him as like in the stuff that bears his name to be like a very talented writer. So you'd have to like believe that he wrote poorly under his own name to like throw people off the scent that he was writing all this good stuff.
Yeah, that's like who's the contemporary who's also really good, who's like
Christopher Marlowe died.
Okay.
Before a lot of Shakespeare stuff was written, although in the film Only Lovers Left Alive, they posit that Christopher Marlowe didn't really die. He became a vampire. And so he couldn't write in public anymore. So he wrote behind the scenes because he was a vampire, which I find more likely than many of the alternative theories.
The first time I ever encountered this was in high school when I was assigned a Shakespeare play to write about. It was Titus Andronicus, which, if I remember correctly, is one of the first, maybe his first. And it's like horrifically graphic, gory, and all this stuff.
It inspired one of the better South Park episodes.
Yes, it did. And even looking at some of the history of the analysis of it, a lot of people are like, this might not have been his, or he hired a team to work with him after this one because he cleaned up his act real quick after.
Yeah, the focus groups helped later on, I think.
Okay, so we got Shakespeare's authorship. Grace, I believe that gets you one more.
No,
right?
I did Helen Keller.
Helen Keller. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was your snake. All right. We're over to you, Chief.
So I have a U-22, a DP, and a Max Dam.
You got one of each.
Okay. I'm going to use my U-22, and this is a brand new conspiracy theory, super hot in the streets. That is that alpha gel syndrome is a result of scientists attempting to stop us from eating meat to save the environment. Are you guys familiar with this?
Alpha gel. No.
Okay. So alpha gel syndrome is a disease that is transmitted to you by a deer tick. And the deer tick bites you. And when you have this symptom, you become violently ill to eating red meat. It triggers an autoimmune response that makes you incapable of eating beef, lamb, anything that would be considered red meat.
I knew somebody with this. Yes.
Right. So this was unheard of as recently as like 5-6 years ago. But slowly, the deer tick population has been increasing, rapidly, the deer tick population has been increasing and slowly inching northward over more parts of the country, whereas deer ticks used to be confined into the deep south, into Texas and that sort of thing. Okay. So the way the conspiracy theory goes is that the globalists, who will all tell you that in order for society to, lower carbon emissions, we have to start reducing our consumption of meat. So the first thing they tried was meat replacements, these sort of beyond meat things, and the market has rejected them. The next thing they went to is lab grown meat, and lab grown meat hasn't moved as quickly or as cheaply as they were hoping for. And the market has also kind of rejected the idea of lab grown meat, as if your square Wendy's burger is any more or less real because the square grew in the lab versus grew on the side of a, industrial farm. So the thought is then that, well, we can't find a replacement for meat, so we're going to release all of these ticks with a bioengineered disease that when it bites you, physically makes you incapable of eating meat. And so you can go down some deep rabbit holes about how this is also attempting to lower testosterone levels, and the ultimate goal of a more radicalized, feminized, anti-male society, because obviously meat being a high source of protein, it's going to necessarily lead to fewer strong men that can then stand up to the new world overlords.
I like it. Counter argument, Kevin Denke.
Look, maybe he got bit by a tick somewhere, and that's the reason for his diet, and he's just doing the best he can. What would Kevin Denke be like if he was on steak? We don't know. It might be too powerful.
If that's the argument, that there's another tier of Kevin Denke that we are inaccessible to now at this point. Sure, I'm in. I'm just saying, if I have to fight an army of Kevin Denkes, I don't think it's going to end well.
Yeah, so my U-22, hot in the streets, brand new conspiracy theory. Buy this one now, because this is going to be, as the planet gets hotter and, the deer ticks become a climate change winner, this conspiracy theory is going to be hotter. Alpha gel syndrome is a globalist conspiracy to stop people from eating meat.
I like it. Okay, so
Kevin,
sends it over to me. I've got one of each, a DP, a U-22, and a TAM player. I'm going to fill the TAM role first with Harold Holt was a Chinese spy. Or, you may know this otherwise, by the Australian Prime Minister who went for a swim and never came back. It is one of the most insane stories
not familiar with this one.
Of all time. In 1967, Prime Minister of Australia, Harold Holt, went for a swim and never came back. They never found his body. That was the end of Harold Holt. Sitting prime minister ups and vanishes. Insert your favorite interpretation of the story. Did he just drown out there? Sure, possibly. Was he a Chinese spy and was picked up by the phrase that is commonly used, Chinese frogmen, who then got him into a submarine? Was he assassinated in some way? It is insane to think that in 1967, not that long ago, a elected official could just up and disappear without a trace. I'm putting it in the TAM slot because I don't think it rises to the level of DP. It's not U-22. I don't think it has much potential going forward. It's certainly not new.
Here we go, Kevin. There's a book that was written about this. The Prime Minister Was a Spy by Anthony Gray. Its most famous claim is that Holt faked his own death specifically rather than drowning. He boarded a Chinese submarine, stored off the Australian coast, and lived the rest of his life in Beijing. According to Wikipedia, the book contains numerous factual errors and was widely ridiculed upon its release.
I was about to say this book is very controversial in Australia.
I don't know. I might be interested.
I just think it's weird. Like, okay, if this was 1867, sure, there's no way to keep tabs on people in there. And you go further back, absolutely, people are going to go into the woods and never come back. 1967, man goes for a swim off the coast of Australia and his body is never found. Wild. That is absolutely wild.
Prime Minister. That would be like the Donald just says, I'm going for a swim, like on a beach vacation in Florida, and just, yeah.
I mean, if JFK rocks your belief in the political establishment, I don't know what dude disappearing does to you. I don't know how Australia maintained a society after this. All right.
That's good. I like that.
I will go with, okay, I'm going to go as another DP here. I'm taking chemtrails off the board.
Yeah, I had that.
Chemtrails, they play a lot of roles for you. They can go as deep and disturbing as you'd like. It can also just be, dare I say, surface level for you. Chemtrails, the underlying theory about chemtrails, though, is absolutely true. This is something we've absolutely done. The United States military has absolutely added stuff to the atmosphere to affect the weather. This is well documented. We did this in Vietnam to trigger floods, killed thousands of civilians doing this. This is a known thing. This is something that Qatar promised that they would do during the World Cup when they were going to host it in the summer, that they were going to seed clouds over the stadium. That's possible. That is is absolutely a viable technology. Where you get to the weird fun parts of chemtrails is, mind control drugs, or, insert, whatever drug you may want to put into the population. But what I like is that there's enough truth here to get people to look at it sideways a little bit. And
it's a good Facebook conspiracy theory, because that one family member you avoid at gatherings will post pictures like, remember when the skies looked like this with fluffy clouds, and then now they look like this with like crisscross patterns in the sky. I do like that.
Somebody not familiar with the sky sharing photos. It's good.
What I love about this conspiracy too is that it relies on your belief that Spirit Airways is part of a conspiracy theory, like Sun Country Airlines is also the place you're buying a $39 fare for is like, no, your check bags are extras, but the chemicals fly for free.
Yeah, right. We're going to need some of you to switch seats. We're going to level out the weight on this plane, right, and we're going to load up the military grade bioweapon into the bottom of this.
And the other thing too is that the guy that runs Ryanair, he wouldn't be able to shut up about the fact they were participating in this if it was real.
Ryanair makes
bragging
me think
about it.
Yeah, they would be bragging about it for sure. We're using these chemicals to get you to keep buying our shitty airplane tickets. That's
good one.
That's a good one. Okay, so Chief, you have a DP and a TAM player left. Where are you going?
Oh boy, so much here.
Just to give you some gamesmanship. Grayson has a DP and a U22 left. I only have a U22 left. So
okay, so I am going to take a TAM player right here. I'm going to use my max TAM. I always think that I went into this thinking that max TAM was for like a low stakes conspiracy theory where it's like, I like this, but at the end of the day, it's not moving the needle one way or the other.
Okay.
So for my max TAM, I'm going with the movie Frozen was written and designed to change search algorithms from Walt Disney's Frozen head. So that if you Google Disney Frozen, the first thing that comes up isn't that Walt Disney froze his own head so that it could be resuscitated later in life. That instead the entire thing is about, Let It Go and snowmen and the power and healing of sisterhood.
Interesting. I like it. It makes a lot of sense. They could have picked any title, right? So like Frozen is a deliberate choice from the studio.
Right. It could, like if the movie's title is Snow Princess, that doesn't do anything to the SEO about Walt Disney's Frozen head. Quite literally, the only title they could have picked was just Frozen to throw the algorithm off.
I like it. The entire theory of Walt Disney, cryogenically freezing himself or whatever is also, as far as I can tell, conspiracy. I don't know that he did. Do we know that for sure? I don't know.
We know he didn't freeze his lungs. So I mean,
yeah,
those things weren't going to do anything, no matter how cold they got. Look, I'm big on Walt Disney conspiracy theories. I'm big on the conspiracy theories. They drag you out of the park before you die, so that they never have to deal with anyone actually dying on property. If you go back and you watch they're on YouTube still, where Walt is doing documentary presentations about his experimental prototype community of tomorrow, which you might notice forms the letters Epcot. There's some James Bond villain energy in how he is promoting this city that is supposed to represent the model of America going forward. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. The guys that wrote Final Fantasy VII designed Midgar after what the Epcot prototype was. Like, they thought that was kind of evil sounding too.
I do like the idea of the James Bond villain actually just being like a warm and fuzzy guy that everybody really likes. But
right. I'm just buying up all this land under shell corporations and changing the way government works in the middle of Florida. And I'm going to build a community where part of the allure is that companies will have 24-hour access to your homes to upgrade the appliances with new things without your consent and install whatever to make life more convenient.
Oh, man. One of the most confusing political moments was when the Ron DeSantis government was cracking down on the government town that is Walt Disney because of their pro-LGBT views. You're like, wait, okay, so if I'm pro gay representation in media, I also have to be in favor of corporate run towns. Hang on. Now right. I don't know exactly where I land.
Strange bedfellows.
Yes.
The best part of modern politics. So Disney's Frozen was a conspiracy to change search algorithms.
I like it. That leaves you with Grayson. You're going to fill up your roster. You have a DP spot and a U22 spot. You're going to be finishing up this round and starting the last round with these picks.
I have a U22 that is a little older, but I think by its nature permits me to mess around with the timeline a bit. I'm talking about the new chronology. Do you guys know about this?
Oh, the Phantom Time conspiracy.
So this is a Russian centric conspiracy theory that the historical timeline that we understand, where Jesus is like 1 AD or whatever, was completely fabricated. And that they inserted like 1,000 years where quote unquote nothing happened into the timeline in order to erase from history the fact that the dominant empire until like the 17th century was the quote unquote Russian horde or Great Tartaria. And that they've been erased from history by a conspiracy among the Vatican, the Holy Roman Empire, and the House of Romanov. And that basically what the theory holds is that like the center of the world for a long time was Russia and Central Asia, and like Rome was in Moscow. They think that that Jesus was born in 1152 AD in Crimea.
Oh, nice.
And that the Hagia Sophia is the Temple of Solomon.
Oh.
The way I became aware of this is that reportedly one of the adherents is former chess champion Garry Kasparov.
Wow.
Okay. And I remember seeing, after I found out he was like into this, I remember seeing him listed on like some UN panel about like disinformation, and I was like, is he like telling them how to do it?
He's not going to let them add any more years to the calendar.
Right. But yeah, I think that I think I can kind of compress the timeline and say this is a U-22.
I like it.
Now, see, where I thought you were going is there's a similar conspiracy theory that a bunch of years of history or that the calendar was altered retroactively in the first millennium, so that it was a pope and an emperor, like Emperor Otto something or other from Germany, but whatever it was, that they both wanted their rule to be in the year 1000. So they just unilaterally changed the calendar and cut like 300 years out of what was recorded history so that it would align, so that they could say that like as the known world turned 1,000 years, that they were the people that were in charge to herald that.
Now, there is a smidgen of truth to both of these, which is if you look at the conversion from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, or whichever one we're using now.
Yeah, you lose a little bit of time.
Yeah. They added or cut off 3 days, something like that.
Like in October, right?
Yeah, like they don't exist. Like we went from like, whatever it is, the 6th to the 9th at midnight, where the 3 days don't exist. And I have heard, I've never sat down to do this, in your calendar app on your phone, if you scroll back far enough to that year, it shows up on that calendar in October that the missing days are skipped over there.
The other big problem with this conspiracy theory is that like the Chinese were counting too.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately we can count trees. Like we've got like a global record of things that happened that go back pretty far.
I dig it though. Just like we're trying to erase a country from existence, so we're going to screw with the calendar. I love that. It's great. Like that's big time cope from the commies.
You know what that is? That's like winning the MLS's back tournament. Like, that really didn't happen. That didn't happen. I'm sorry.
So my last DP, and you would think is that the best use of a DP spot, but if you like kind of flip them and say the Shakespeare authorship is my other DP, maybe it looks not so good, but this is a special place in my heart. It's a domestic homegrown player, and I'm talking about Hollow Earth Theory.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Middletown, Ohio, baby.
I'll give you. I'll also give you that if you're going to take the Hollow Earth Theory, I'll also, to make it a DP, you can also have lizard people with that as well. That lizard people rule the world.
And I think everybody's familiar with Hollow Earth Theory. It's become a little bit more. It's got some Hollywood buzz with the recent Godzilla King Kong movies. They go Hollow Earth to explain the existence of the, what do they call them, Titans,
kaijus or whatever
in those movies. Well, I think kaijus is like the old term, but I think in the recent films they call them Titans.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
Sure.
But if people don't know, one of the major American proponents of Hollow Earth Theory, really like the guy, was a guy named John Cleves Sims. And
I'm hearing some familiar names right here.
Cleves Sims?
He lived and died in Hamilton, Ohio.
Oh,
and there is a Hollow Earth monument in Hamilton, Ohio.
It's rock solid.
You knock on it, you can hear. Like,
it's just in like a park in Hamilton.
That's good.
Right? And there's like a little fence around it.
I gotta go to this.
But yeah, you should. Everybody should go. It's like a part of it's part of local history. And if you thought that I was going to let Hollow Earth walk out the door just because I didn't want to make it a DP, you're mistaken. Let me say it another way. There was no way I was letting Hollow Earth Theory walk out that door.
Maybe it started as a Max Tam player and played its way into one. You never know these things.
I think I think Hollow Earth is a solid use of the DP spot. I think it makes sense. I think you can certainly build a roster around it. And as Chief said, like, it's a good branching off point for a lot of things. Maybe there's an advanced alien race in there. Maybe there are lizard people there. Maybe that's where the Atlanteans went. Yeah, there's some good stuff there.
What do I got left? The DP right now?
Chief, you got a DP spot left. I have a U22 spot left.
All right. So I'm going with a DP spot. This is one of my favorite ones I came across when I was, looking at some of these conspiracy theories for the episode. My DP spans all of human history and explains so much of the universe and our place in the universe. This is the Black Knight satellite conspiracy theory. Familiar? Allow me to educate both of you with the blank looks.
I love this.
The Black Knight satellite conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory that posits that an ancient extraterrestrial race has been monitoring and spying on America, for the human race since the dawn of civilization. And the Black Knight satellite is a communications satellite that is in orbit, that is relaying signals to aliens about the development of Earth, about the development of mankind. Ties into the Fermi paradox as well. Why don't we know where the aliens are? It's because we're being monitored on some sort of a sanctuary. Now, you would ask yourself, if this is true, surely there would be some evidence of this. And in fact, we have lots of evidence for the Black Knight satellite.
Oh, baby.
It has been allegedly depicted in several photographs that have been taken by NASA over the years. A guy you may have heard of, Nikola Tesla, famous for inventing the electric car. In 1899, he discovered a signal that was emanating from deep space that allegedly was coming from the Black Knight satellite, because they were unaware at the time that humanity had the ability to record these types of communications. Ooh. He was able to first document a satellite from Nikola Tesla. There have also been radio echoes that amateur astronomers have been able to hear that are emanating from an area just outside Lagrange Point 1, which is where the satellite is thought to be. There have been other instances that have appeared in redacted files related to Project Blue Book and Project Blueprint that relate to an object that's in space that is unidentified. So this is the mother of all conspiracies. This is, are we alone? Are we being watched? Yes, we have a visitor, and it's been there the entire time tracking us.
Wow. I like it. How does this interact with say like Starlink, right? Like we've been sending a lot of stuff up there.
It's the same thing everybody always says. It's like, look, if they've had the technology to be here and monitor us for millennia,
fair enough.
They've got the ways to make sure that we can't see it. And they're changing the things that they do as they go along. Like, you wouldn't need to waste power keeping the satellite invisible before we got up there. So it probably has to notice that we're getting up there, and then it turns itself invisible. But maybe we catch a few pictures before it realizes, shit, I got to hide myself right now. Same thing with radio.
Or also maybe all this space stuff is just lies.
Yeah.
What do you think is more likely? That they're actually sending all this stuff to space and they're not seeing the Black Knight satellite, or they're just lying about sending all this stuff to space?
It's certainly cheaper to not do it. Yeah.
Or that the first time you go up, they get warned by someone. We got something here. You can keep. It's like that. You can keep doing this. You can keep sending your shit up, but you got to play ball. And if you don't play ball, you saw what we did to Apollo 13, right?
Be a real shame if something happened to your real nice country there.
Right.
Oh man,
I like that as a DP though. I like that for me.
Good. That's good. Yeah. Then I will wrap it up. I feel like I'm ending on a wet fart here. U22, give me Havana Syndrome, baby.
That's real. I watched a 60 Minutes on that. That's absolutely real. They admitted it.
Now, when you say real, I am willing to bet people have come forward complaining of headaches. What I would worry about this being a sort of mass hysteria event rather than...
They had a guy that came on 60 Minutes and said that he has seen the Havana Syndrome guns, that they're portable laser guns that are being used by the Russians to induce symptoms like this.
Oh, well, shit.
60 Minutes would never lie, right? This was before the takeover, too.
They have this one in the can.
I'm a Havana Syndrome doubter, personally.
Well, look, I'm not putting it above it being real, because my other options were absolutely real ones, which were I wrote down the Gulf of Tonkin was another one. I wasn't sure how I was going to justify it in my list, or the U.S. government faked an attack on its own warships to, I don't know, start the Vietnam War. So, there's some fun ones there. But Havana Syndrome, I was going to take it for me because U-22, it's newer. I would say, I guess the conspiracy angle here is that this is, as I said, and Grayson, you may be able to fill in some of the gaps here. I believe the conspiracy take on it is that it is either completely made up or is a sort of mass hysteria event from particularly the U.S. Embassy in Cuba, although there have been other reported, people falling ill of this. But I don't know, Grayson, what am I maybe missing from some of the Havana Syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, just like the story is kind of implausible to begin with. But you also get I don't know, I would probably get a headache if I was stationed in Cuba, just thinking about what am I doing here?
How hasn't Volodymyr Zelensky not been the victim of a headache gun?
Yeah,
certainly he's the first guy you'd use this on.
But I read a big New York Times article about Havana Syndrome a couple of years ago. It was during the Biden administration, probably around the same time as the 60 Minutes thing.
So the 60 Minutes thing was 6 weeks, less than 2 or 3 months ago.
Never mind. But what happened in around the time of the New York Times thing during the Biden years was they passed a bill appropriating a bunch of money to the intelligence community for something related to Havana Syndrome, I guess. But I'm just they just need a big bucket of money.
Well, that was going into studying the Black Knight satellite,
and
obviously.
They're we can't appropriate a bunch of money for the mass surveillance program that we're doing in partnership with Palantir. So we're we're appropriating a bunch of money to quote unquote study Havana Syndrome and other related associated things that we might be interested in. And that's what it's why they traffic drugs. They just need streams of money to do stuff.
I mean, one of the conspiracy theories I didn't pick was that the CIA started Bitcoin and that they're just holding all of the Bitcoin until they can sell it to fund whatever the Black Ops programs are that they're doing off the books.
I mean, they're heavy. They're certainly heavy into it. And I've read some of the stuff about the Satoshi guy.
Yeah. Nakamura.
That led me to believe heavily that there was
the CIA involvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
that there was
Satoshi Nakamoto or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a real dude. So the story about Havana Syndrome here quickly. It was on
the CIA do Signal?
Yeah.
So the U.S. government.
It strongly. There's a lot of dots to connect on Signal that your messages might not be secure.
If it means anything to you, most of Europe had sent an urgent message out, basically telling all of their government employees and heads of state stop using Signal, and they've all been developing their own internal systems because something spooked them. But no, the big one is Tor, and the Onion network was literally created by the U.S. military, CIA, whatever, because they needed an anonymous way to move messages. But the problem with that is if you have a network that is only being used by spies, all the communication on it are spies. So the idea is that they needed to put it out into the public to let other people use it so that there was just more traffic moving around so that the spy craft would blend in a little bit better.
Nice.
But yes, Chief, what do you got on the latest on Havana?
On the Havana Syndrome, it was that the Department of Homeland Security acquired a portable device in late 2024 that emits a pulsed radio frequency energy. The device contains components of Russian origin, fueling speculation about potential adversary involvement. I actually watched this story, and the way that they described it was that they have a weapon. They said it was handheld, was the way they described it. Okay. And that it uses oscillating microwave energy frequencies that disrupt electrical communications in the brain.
Oh.
And that it works through walls and at a distance of about 30 to 50 feet. And that there was all sorts of they have a working device, apparently. And
well, I have no doubt that we have a working device, because my other thing with the Havana, my other assumption with the Havana syndrome things is that if anybody has one of these things, it's us. Yeah. And we're kind of, and the word was somehow getting out that this existed. So they came up with a story to be like, well, it does exist, and actually our opponents are using it. So we better make our own real fast.
Yeah. Kevin's point to like Zelensky is always like where a lot of these conspiracy theories ultimately hit a snag, where it's like you get these people online that are like, oh yeah, no, they've had the access to the alien spaceships for 100 years and they've been reverse engineering it. And if this is what you see, the US military has, the government has 30, 40 years more advanced than that. And it's like, I don't know, man, like we can't keep the Strait of Hormuz open. So if you've got like the photon torpedoes, I assume we would have seen them already, like solving some problems.
Yeah. I'm also curious too, like what you just described made a little more sense, but like we've had like directional sonic weapons that like send horrible sound waves to people that can be deployed on large groups or be, narrowly cast to like a very specific direction.
Yeah, the horrible sound waves that they've been using for about half a century is the Doors. They were just going to play the Doors at like the Cubans.
Yes. Oh man, what was the Guantanamo? They would enhance interrogate folks by putting like Metallica on for 48 hours.
Nickelback. It's always Nickelback.
They did other stuff at Guantanamo too.
Nope. Just playing bad music.
Just Metallica.
It's crazy.
The worst part was they downloaded the tracks off Napster, so it really pissed off the
band. Truly criminals.
That does suck. All right.
Okay, so our final teams end up like this. Grayson ended up with a roster of JFK assassination, FBI killed MLK, Hollow Earth, Gaylor, Helen Keller is fake, New Chronology, and Shakespeare's authorship. Chief has a roster of The Moon Landing was fake, Hyboria, the Black Knight, Hyperborea. That's actually what I wrote down. I just read it wrong. Black Knight Satellite, QAnon, the CERN opening a parallel universe, Alpha Jail Syndrome, and Frozen Disney SEO. This one weird trick. Kevin ended up with 9/11 was an inside job. The Knights Templar are running the world. Chemtrails, dead internet theory, the business plot, Havana syndrome, and I just wrote Harold Holt. So you have to do your own research on Harold Holt. So there you go.
Well, I hope this episode,
lineups here.
Yeah, I hope this episode has inspired you to do your own research. We are the podcast that encourages everybody to do their own research.
Yes.
But it isn't a conspiracy theory, Kevin.
Oh, what's that, Chief?
The Columbus crew fucking suck. Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.